Let's be real. Life is chaos. Pure, raw, unfiltered chaos. Your plans? Torn apart by random events. Your relationships? Shaken by misunderstandings. Your career? A mix of effort, luck, and that one coworker who exists just to test your patience. And yet, most of us keep walking around as if control is possible. As if we can bend the universe to our will with vision boards, 5-year plans, and motivational quotes on Instagram. Cute, right? Until reality punches you in the face. This is where Epictetus, one of the OG Stoic philosophers, shows up like a strict coach who doesn't sugarcoat anything. Born a slave, crippled since childhood, and still managing to become one of the greatest teachers of freedom. He didn't just talk the talk. He lived it. He basically said, you can't control what happens to you. You can only control how you respond. Boom. That's it. That's the code. Brutal, simple, uncomfortable, and the opposite of how most people live. Because let's be honest, when things go wrong, what's the first thing we do? We blame. We complain. We play the victim card. The traffic ruined my day. My boss ruined my life. My ex ruined my happiness. But Epictetus would look you dead in the eye and say, no one can ruin your life without your permission. Not even fate. This video isn't going to tell you life is fair or that everything happens for a reason. That's Disney philosophy. Instead, we're going to talk about how Stoicism, especially Epictetus philosophy, teaches you to walk through chaos without losing your mind. By the end, you'll see why the real power isn't controlling life, it's controlling yourself. And in a world that thrives on drama, outrage, and chaos, that's the ultimate flex. So, if you've ever felt like the world is against you, if you've ever wondered how to keep your cool while everything around you is on fire, stick around. Because Epictetus already lived through worse, and his code might just save you from drowning in today's chaos. Here's the thing. Chaos itself isn't the problem. Life has always been unpredictable. The weather shifts. People betray. Markets crash. Bodies get sick. That's been happening for thousands of years. What makes it unbearable is the illusion of control. The belief that if we just plan well enough, if we just work hard enough, if we just think positive, everything will go our way. But Epictetus warned us about this trap. He said, men are disturbed not by things, but by the view which they take of them. In other words, it's not chaos that crushes you. It's the story you tell yourself about it. Let's break it down. Imagine it rains on the day of your big date. What happens? The rain itself is neutral. It doesn't care. But in your head, the monologue begins. Of course this would happen to me. Just my luck. Now everything is ruined. See? You suffered twice. First from the rain itself, then from your reaction. Here's another. You lose your job. The event is painful, sure, but then your mind piles on. I'll never recover. I'm worthless. Everyone will look down on me. That's the second arrow, the self-inflicted wound. The Buddha actually had a metaphor for this. He said life will shoot you with arrows. The first arrow is the unavoidable pain of existence. But the second arrow? That's optional. That's you stabbing yourself with your own thoughts, fears, and projections. Epictetus and the Stoics built an entire philosophy around refusing the second arrow. They trained themselves to see the world as it is, not as they wished it to be. They practiced separating what is in their control from what is not, because they knew suffering grows in the gap between reality and expectation. Think about how much energy you waste on things you can't control. The economy, the weather, other people's opinions, the past, the future. You spend hours replaying conversations, worrying about outcomes, imagining scenarios that will never happen. That's not life's chaos. That's self-created chaos. Epictetus would laugh at us doom-scrolling Twitter, raging at politics, obsessing over what strangers think. Because from his perspective, it's all noise. He would remind us, you desire things not to happen as they do, but as you wish. And when you cannot get what you desire, you suffer. That's the paradox. Life isn't unbearable. Our resistance to it is. Chaos doesn't destroy us. Our refusal to accept chaos does. And here's the raw truth. The more you cling to control, the more fragile you become. You want the world to bend to you, but the world bends to no one. You'll either break trying to fight it or learn the Stoic art of bending with it. So here's the first rule of mastering chaos. Stop pretending you can eliminate it. You can't. The only question is whether you'll suffer twice or once. Here's where it gets uncomfortable. Chaos doesn't just live in nature, it lives in people, in society, in power structures. And if you're not careful, other people's chaos becomes your prison. Epictetus lived as a slave. Think about that. A man who became one of the greatest teachers of inner freedom started his life literally in chains. His body could be beaten, sold, ordered around. But his mind? Untouchable. He said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." And here's the paradox. Society will always try to control you. Governments, corporations, even your friends and family. They will all project their desires, fears, and expectations onto you. If you live by them, you're not free. You're just a puppet. Look around. Social media is the new Colosseum. People tearing each other apart for attention. Outrage trends designed to keep you addicted. Politicians who thrive on division and chaos. If Epictetus saw us today, he would say, "Of course you're anxious. You're slaves to approval." He warned against this obsession with reputation. If you wish to be free, do not wish for things to happen as you wish, but wish for them as they are. But in modern society, we do the opposite. We shape our entire identities around what others think. We crave likes, validation, applause. And yet, the more we seek approval, the less control we actually have. Because we've outsourced our peace of mind to strangers. Here's the raw truth. Kindness, goodness, even morality, they're fragile in the hands of society. People will praise you when it benefits them and crucify you when it doesn't. Epictetus knew this. That's why the Stoic path is not about pleasing others, but about living in harmony with reason, nature, and virtue. Think of Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor, surrounded by chaos, wars, plagues, betrayals. He could command armies, but he couldn't control death or treachery. And yet he wrote in his meditations, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That's the essence of the Stoic Code. True power is inner power, not domination, not control over others, but self-mastery. Society tells you that power is wealth, status, and influence. Stoicism whispers, power is not needing those things. When your boss insults you and you don't collapse, that's power. When your plans fall apart and you stay calm, that's power. When the world spins in chaos and you remain anchored, that's power. It's not passive. It's not weakness. It's the deepest form of strength, refusing to let external chaos dictate your inner world. But here's the danger. If you don't train yourself like a Stoic, society will train you to be its servant. You'll chase endless desires, get trapped in cycles of outrage, and spend your life exhausted by forces beyond your control. Epictetus would call that slavery. And the only escape is to recognize that freedom isn't given by society. It's claimed by the individual who refuses to surrender his mind. So ask yourself, who owns your peace right now? Is it you? Or is it Instagram, your boss, your partner, your bank account, your past mistakes? Because until you reclaim it, you're not living, you're just reacting. Here's where it gets uncomfortable. Chaos doesn't just live in nature, it lives in people, in society, in power structures. And if you're not careful, other people's chaos becomes your prison. Epictetus lived as a slave. Think about that. A man who became one of the greatest teachers of inner freedom started his life literally in chains. His body could be beaten, sold, ordered around. But his mind? Untouchable. He said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." And here's the paradox. Society will always try to control you. Governments, corporations, even your friends and family. They will all project their desires, fears, and expectations onto you. If you live by them, you're not free. You're just a puppet. Look around. Social media is the new Colosseum. People tearing each other apart for attention. Outrage trends designed to keep you addicted. Politicians who thrive on division and chaos. If Epictetus saw us today, he would say, "Of course you're anxious. You're slaves to approval." He warned against this obsession with reputation. If you wish to be free, do not wish for things to happen as you wish, but wish for them as they are. But in modern society, we do the opposite. We shape our entire identities around what others think. We crave likes, validation, applause. And yet, the more we seek approval, the less control we actually have, because we've outsourced our peace of mind to strangers. Here's the raw truth. Kindness, goodness, even morality, they're fragile in the hands of society. People will praise you when it benefits them and crucify you when it doesn't. Epictetus knew this. That's why the Stoic path is not about pleasing others, but about living in harmony with reason, nature, and virtue. Think of Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor surrounded by chaos, wars, plagues, betrayals. He could command armies, but he couldn't control death or treachery. And yet he wrote in his meditations, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That's the essence of the Stoic Code. True power is inner power, not domination, not control over others, but self-mastery. Society tells you that power is wealth, status, and influence. Stoicism whispers, power is not needing those things. When your boss insults you and you don't collapse, that's power. When your plans fall apart and you stay calm, that's power. When the world spins in chaos and you remain anchored, that's power. It's not passive. It's not weakness. It's the deepest form of strength, refusing to let external chaos dictate your inner world. But here's the danger. If you don't train yourself like a Stoic, society will train you to be its servant. You'll chase endless desires, get trapped in cycles of outrage, and spend your life exhausted by forces beyond your control. Epictetus would call that slavery. And the only escape is to recognize that freedom isn't given by society. It's claimed by the individual who refuses to surrender his mind. So ask yourself, who owns your peace right now? Is it you? Or is it Instagram, your boss, your partner, your bank account, your past mistakes? Because until you reclaim it, you're not living. You're just reacting. Freedom of the mind doesn't come naturally. It's not a gift. It's something you forge. And like any skill, it requires discipline, sometimes brutal discipline. Epictetus was clear. If you want to be unshakable, you can't just read about philosophy. You have to practice it daily in the fire of reality. He compared life to training. You don't become a wrestler by reading about wrestling. You step into the arena, you get thrown to the ground, you bleed, you learn. Philosophy, he said, is the same. You don't just memorize wise quotes. You embody them when life smashes you in the face. So what were the practices of this Stoic Code? 1. The discipline of desire, training the mind to want less. Epictetus taught that our suffering comes from chasing what we can't control. So the first exercise was radical. Stop desiring the world to bend to your will. Instead, align your will with reality. If you want fame, you're enslaved to the crowd. If you want money at any cost, you're enslaved to the market. But if you want only what's within your control, your thoughts, your actions, you become untouchable. This is hard because society sells us endless desires. The newest phone, the perfect body, the flawless relationship. The Stoic response? Strip it down. Ask, do I really need this? But did the world convince me I do? Marcus Aurelius said it bluntly. Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking. 2. The discipline of action, living with purpose, not excuses. Stoicism isn't about sitting in silence, pretending to be above the world. It's about showing up with virtue every single day. Epictetus believed that philosophy without action is hypocrisy. So they trained themselves to act with courage, justice, self-control, and wisdom. Imagine, every decision, every word, every small choice was a chance to practice virtue. If you lied, you weakened yourself. If you acted with integrity, you grew stronger. Modern translation: stop wasting hours doom scrolling, complaining, or seeking pity. Every moment is training. Either you're building yourself or you're breaking yourself. 3. The discipline of ascent. Mastering your thoughts before they master you. Epictetus taught that the mind is like a fortress. Every idea that knocks at your door, you decide, let it in or shut it out. If you accept poisonous thoughts, envy, anger, victimhood, they occupy your fortress and corrupt you from within. So he trained his students to pause. Before reacting, ask, is this thought true? Is it useful? Is it in my control? If not, reject it. Don't give it rent-free space in your mind. This is brutal discipline, because your emotions scream, your ego wants revenge, your fears demand attention. But Epictetus would say, you're not your impulses. You are the gatekeeper. 4. Premeditatio malorum, the art of negative visualization. The Stoics would wake up and imagine everything going wrong, losing their job, their wealth, their health, even their loved ones. Harsh, yes, but powerful. Why? Because when misfortune struck, they weren't surprised. They had rehearsed it, and when good things happened, they felt gratitude, not entitlement. Today we do the opposite. We assume tomorrow will be the same as today. And when life rips it away, we collapse. The Stoic trains the opposite. Expect loss, prepare for chaos, and then whatever remains is a gift. Seneca put it perfectly. He robs present ills of their power who has previously conquered their coming. 5. Memento mori, remember you will die. This is the harshest discipline of all. Every Stoic meditated daily on death, not to be morbid, but to live urgently. Epictetus said, keep death in exile before your eyes each day, and you will never have a base thought nor an excessive desire. When you remember you're mortal, petty arguments shrink. Envy fades. Suddenly, the present moment becomes sacred. Modern life tries to hide death, filters distractions, endless consumption. But the Stoic faces it directly. Not with fear, but with clarity. Life is short. Don't waste it on what you can't control. This is the Stoic Code. Not a philosophy for bookshelves, but a training ground for warriors of the mind. A path of ruthless self-discipline, where the battle is not against others, but against your own weakness, distraction, and illusion. And Epictetus was merciless in this truth. If you refuse this discipline, you're not free. You're just another slave, chained not by iron, but by your own desires and fears. Life is chaos. We lose people we love, we get betrayed, our bodies fail, our plans collapse. And in those moments, most people break. They curse fate, they drown in self-pity, they let anger or despair control them. But Epictetus? He had no illusions. He was born into slavery, crippled by a master, living with constant humiliation. If anyone had the right to say, life is unfair, it was him. And yet, instead of collapsing, he built an inner fortress so strong that no chaos could shake it. So what's the Stoic response when the world burns? 1. Redefining suffering. It's not what happens, it's how you see it. Epictetus taught, men are disturbed not by things, but by the view they take of them. Chaos itself doesn't destroy us. It's our interpretation that does. You lose your job. One person calls it the end of their life. Another calls it freedom to start over. You get betrayed. One person sinks into bitterness. Another grows wiser, more cautious, but not broken. The same event, two different responses, which means the power is not in the event, but in your mind. 2. Amor fati, loving fate, not just accepting it. The Stoics went even further than acceptance. They trained themselves to love whatever fate delivered. Sound insane, right? Love loss, love pain, love humiliation. But here's the truth. By embracing it, you strip it of its sting. You turn obstacles into fuel. Marcus Aurelius said it best. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. This isn't passive suffering. It's active transformation. Chaos isn't your enemy. It's the raw material for greatness. 3. Turning tragedy into training. For the Stoic, Every blow of fate is a test. Epictetus compared life to a wrestling match where the gods give you opponents not to crush you, but to strengthen you. So when chaos hits, the question isn't why me? It's how do I train with this? Pain trains endurance. Betrayal trains wisdom. Poverty trains resourcefulness. Death trains gratitude for the living. The world becomes a gymnasium for the soul. And every hardship is a new weight to lift. 4. The power of radical acceptance. Imagine two men in a storm. One screams at the thunder, curses the rain, and exhausts himself fighting the inevitable. The other accepts the storm, adjusts his cloak, and walks calmly through it. Who suffers more? This is the Stoic vision. Stop resisting what you can't control. Flow with it like water. Adjust, adapt, endure. The storm is not personal. It's just the storm. 5. Chaos reveals your true self. In comfort, anyone can look wise. In peace, anyone can pretend to be strong. But when chaos arrives, masks fall. That's when you see who you really are. Epictetus pushed his students into this mindset. Don't fear chaos. Welcome it, because it shows you the truth. If you collapse, now you know where to train. If you endure, now you know your strength. Chaos isn't the end of your philosophy. It's the proving ground. And here lies the paradox of a Stoic response. The more you embrace chaos, the less power it has over you. The man who accepts loss can't be broken by it. The man who trains for suffering finds himself free in the very place others feel trapped. This is why the Stoics were unshakable. Because while others begged for life to be easy, they trained for life to be hard. At the heart of Epictetus's philosophy lies one simple truth. Freedom is not granted by society, by wealth, or even by safety. True freedom exists only in the mind. Think about it. A king sitting on a golden throne can still be a slave to fear, greed, and paranoia. A prisoner in chains, if he masters his thoughts, can still walk in perfect freedom. Epictetus himself proved this. Though he lived much of his life as a slave, he declared, "No man is free who is not master of himself." That is the Stoic Code. Master yourself, and no chaos, no tyrant, no misfortune can own you. 1. The unstealable fortress. Everything external can be stripped away. Your money, your status, your relationships, even your health. But your ability to choose your attitude, your principles, your inner strength, those are untouchable. This is why the Stoics called virtue the only true good. Because unlike gold, unlike fame, unlike the opinions of others, virtue cannot be taken from you. When you anchor your life to virtue, courage, wisdom, justice, self-discipline, you build a fortress inside that no army can conquer. 2. Why most people are slaves without knowing it. The Stoics looked around and saw. Most people aren't free. They are chained by invisible masters, chained to the desire for approval, chained to fear of failure, chained to the addiction of comfort, chained to the illusion that the world owes them certainty. But Epictetus shattered that illusion. Freedom is not waiting for a perfect world. It's becoming untouchable in an imperfect one. 3. From chaos to mastery. The true Stoic doesn't pray for calm seas. He trains to navigate storms. Epictetus, Seneca, Marcus Aurelius, they didn't deny that life was brutal. They knew suffering, betrayal, and loss. But instead of breaking under it, they treated it as the ultimate dojo for the soul. Every trial was a chance to sharpen character. Every injustice, a chance to practice justice. Every temptation, a chance to prove discipline. Every moment of chaos, a stage to perform virtue. That's how chaos stops being your enemy and becomes your teacher. 4. The final lesson, freedom in any fate. Epictetus said, "I must die. Must I then die lamenting? I must be imprisoned. Must I then whine? I must be exiled. Must I then weep? No, I will not. For where can anyone hinder me from living as I choose?" This is the final paradox of Stoicism. When you stop clinging to what you can't control, you stop being controlled. When you embrace fate instead of resisting it, you stop being its victim. This is not resignation. This is liberation. To walk into life, into chaos, into death itself, and still be unbroken. That is the highest freedom. 5. Why the Stoic Code still matters today. In a world of endless noise, endless fear-mongering, endless distractions trying to chain your attention, the Stoic Code is more urgent than ever. We scroll endlessly, consumed by envy, fear, outrage, slaves to our phones, to headlines, to the opinions of strangers we'll never meet. But imagine living like a Stoic, calm while others panic, grounded while others chase illusions, free while others sell themselves for approval. That is the gift Epictetus left us, a timeless code that cuts through chaos and gives us the only freedom that truly matters. 6. The closing call. So the question is not, will chaos come? It will. The question is, when it comes, will you be its slave or will you be its master? Remember Epictetus's harsh truth. No one can enslave a man who masters himself. And if you choose to walk the Stoic path, chaos will no longer be the enemy you fear. It will be the forge that makes you unbreakable.